Okay, folks, welcome to another week, another Sunday Night Futures Live. Happy Sunday evening. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. And we do have the futures open. This is a 4-hour chart. We're looking at the NASDAQ 100 up about a quarter percentage point. This is only an indication of, sentiment going into the week. We're somewhat bullish on the week. Who knows where we're going to open up? We'll spend a few minutes touring how we're opening up at current across the commodity spectrum. Now we're up a third, just shy of a third of a percentage point on the NASDAQ 100. Then we'll circle around and we'll talk about the week, what's coming up this week, because it's going to be a big, big week. Do not let these futures at current get you suckered into this market. It's going to be a volatile week. So let's get to it. Here's the NASDAQ 100 again. We're up to shy of a third of a percentage point. Let me say hello to folks. Franklin, hello, sir. Words of wisdom. Thank you for that. Oliver, hello. Our friend Nicholas from France. How are you, sir? I'm Amigo. Hello, Mr. G. Hello from LA. Chuck, good to see you. Nice background. Did you catch Ship's latest podcast? I was listening to one yesterday. I'm not sure if it was the latest one, but yes, I have been listening to him. I'm playing catch up. I have one. Jedi just threw a comment in. I'll share it with you. I was waiting for an appropriate time to show it. But Jedi's comment was, good backdrop, Bob. Maybe a photo of Gordon Gekko sometime. Greed is good. So here, I'll show my cards here since this topic came up, just so you know I'm not BSing. And let me wait for it to pop up. There's a lag here. And there it is. All right, so I'll duck. You can see it better. And we'll go back to... We'll go back to our China backdrop because there is a reason for it to be up there today. And Will, how you doing, brother? I have your Boeing written down. All right, so for those folks just joining, if I can ask you to smash the like button. And again, we're going to go take a tour through the futures action. How are we opening up? Then we're going to segue over into some news coming out this week. What's on the headlines? Then we'll take some stock chart requests submitted by our members. And if we have a few minutes, what we'll do is we'll take some requests from the audience and we will circle back, leaving off with a stroll back through the futures action. So again, if you could smash that like button, I'd really appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel. NASDAQ 100, pulling back off those highs. S&P E-minis outperforming the NASDAQ 100. This is important. This is very, very important, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Because it speaks to the logic that we went through over the weekend with members on the week ahead commentary posted in the members area. I think that the NASDAQ 100 or the Trip Qs will probably pause here, underperform. Here's the dollar week, while the the S&P 500 plays a bit of catch up. You saw that in the weekly charts on a closing basis on Saturday. The dollar, very weak. We rallied off the lows of the week last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we gave it up. We are weakening up at current. With the dollar in mind, we want to take a look at gold. Gold is up. Fractionally, it's flat. Looking at silver. Silver is up, continuing on a tear here. Up over a third of a percentage point. Platinum. It had a good week last week, but it gave a lot back. Palladium breaking out. Palladium is breaking out. We broke out here. Initially, we broke out here on the 7th, or the 8th, I should say. Failed. Then we broke out yet again later on the 8th. And off to the races. This is a 4-hour chart. Off to the races. It looks as though we're going to move up higher here. I want to take a quick look at a weekly chart. Yeah. Weekly breakout last week. Palladium looking very, very good. We're very bullish on not just the precious metals. It's more turning towards industrial metals. Copper has been on a tear. You saw life come back into steel on Friday. U.S. Steel was up big. You saw strength in uranium last week. It closed off the highs of the week. But the metals, commodities, are coming back to life. Now, I want to take a look at oil because oil had some headlines that were not favorable earlier, that the Saudis were going to raise production by 2 million barrels per day. And we are down on the session. Nat gas down at current, but off the lows. And a really good week last week. Past couple of weeks. So nat gas looking good. Down, but not out. Okay. What else do we have here? Bonds. Very important. Bonds took it on the chin on Friday. So you saw yields rally. That caused the banks to rally. And my guess is, and we're going to go to an important chart in a moment. My guess is that they may rally bonds at current, forcing yields down, but you're going to see continued strength in bonds over the next couple of days. Weakness in bonds, forcing yields lower, and there's a particular reason why that must happen. And I'll go to that in a moment. Stick around. That's called a tease. What we call that in the financial entertainment business, a tease. Let's go take a look at the VIX. I just made that up. I don't know if it's a tease or not. The VIX, a new session low. You can see I have an alert set up here. I really don't care what the VIX does. As long as it stays above 28.5, I'm concerned. I'm going to move this alert down a bit. I want to know if we take out last week's lows on the VIX. Corn. Huge week last week, but then it took it on the chin. Some profit taking. And I think that's good enough. Let's see what wheat's doing. Wheat, ripping. It was lagging corn. It is now ripping. But don't look here. There's no inflation. Don't look here. No. Watch the government numbers. That's what's important. Take a look at this breakout. This is last week. Huge breakout on wheat. But don't look here, folks. They don't want you looking here. Because if you do, you know the man behind the curtain is not what he seems. So we may retrace back down to the support level here, but big breakout on wheat. Back to a 4-hour chart. All right, so I teased a bit about what's coming out this coming week. And Let's first talk about why I have this background up. Hedge fund CIO, who I don't know who it is, a River Asset Management, I'm not sure who that is. Hedge fund CIO, Trump is now left with two darker options, a domestic civil conflict and or a Chinese conflict. Let's face it, he's got both. If people want to believe that the Chinese have nothing to do with the civil conflict, the civil unrest, they're out of their minds. This is a problem that President Trump has on both fronts. He's got a two-front war at current, social and China. And he knows it. That's why you're having conversation right now about the banning of social media platform TikTok. Most of the kids use it. Even my daughter, she's only, going on 19 in September. She doesn't use it. She's too old for it. But they were caught. They're apparently incorporated out of either the Bahamas or Bermuda. They were caught last June sneaking data back to Beijing. And you have several Communist Party members that have ownership in the holding company, and they promised they were going to stop. They got caught again. So if anybody believes that China is not directly involved with their Confucius Institutes on all these universities, I mean, they are so ingrained in our politics, in our educational system. It's horrific. There's an article, I'd like to find it. I don't want to waste everybody's time, but I would strongly urge that everybody take a look at this article, because we have no idea. I don't want to waste people's time. If I find it, I'll share it. But it just goes to show you how deep the Chinese are embedded into our political and economic system and educational system. It's scary. It's very, very scary. So that's why I have that backdrop. So it's usually at this point where I go to the economic data. And it doesn't matter. Even the continuing jobs claims on Thursday and initial jobs claims on Thursday, they're not going to mean much. So let's do this. Let's get rid of it, because it's all going to be about the banks this week. Have no doubt about it. It's all about the banks. And they will set to begin they're set to report earnings on the 14th, beginning with JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and take a look at the consensus EPS versus the prior year. They're expecting $1.40 out of JP Morgan versus last year's EPS of $2.59 versus a consensus of $1.40. You think that's bad? Take a look at Wells Fargo. They're hoping to break even and show a profit of 6 cents a share versus $1.30 last year. So it's going to be a volatile week, and that's why I go back to saying what they need to keep this party going is, for a brief period anyway, is to allow yields to rise. That'll let bank stock prices rise as well. So if they disappoint, then the shares might rally if yields are rallying as well, because their net interest margins will improve. I don't think it's going to last, but it's going to be window dressing for the next couple of weeks. So that's why I think that we may get a bit of a rally here on yields, and that'll force banks up higher, and that'll also force the S&P 500, which has been lagging the NASDAQ 100. Remember, we are up at current a half percentage point now on the S&P 500, while the NASDAQ 100, well, it's picked up steam, is on par. They're up half percentage point as well. But of late, you've seen the NASDAQ 100 far exceed the performance of the S&P 500. I think that this week you're going to have a bit of a divergence. I think that the S&P 500 will probably outperform net by the end of the week the NASDAQ 100. So those are my thoughts going into the new trading week. And yes, Oliver, smash the like button if you could, please. Banks will fly. All right. Joseph A., looking for a good week as well. I think it's going to be a good one. Tesla, we'll check out Tesla. It's always a conversation stock. Okay. Let's, what else do I have on my agenda here? I think that's it. I don't want to get political. I want to avoid that. I don't want to get banned. I can't stand this guy. Bill Kristol. I used to like him. But zero in terms of loyalty. Horrible. Okay, let's do some chart requests. It is now 6:16. I want to be able to circle back and check out the futures before we log off. So I'm going to begin with LOW. Oh, and by the way, I need to go into my spiel here. All right, so this segment is brought to you by TrendSpider, the next generation in automated technical analysis. And this is a great product for those who are especially just beginning to learn technical analysis. If you're testing out your skills at drawing support and resistance levels, automated trend lines. So we'll bring up LOW. And I do this from time to time. And a lot of times I catch myself missing support and resistance levels. So I call it my spell check. Even though I've been doing this a hell of a long time, I use it as my spell check for technical analysis. So this is a monthly chart. I want to overlay my monthly trend lines. And there you have it. I'm right on the money. Not bad for an old dude. Not bad. All right. Feeling good. Okay. So you can see that automatically TrendSpider picked up on the upper band of resistance, support, lower band of the lower band of the rising uptrend, and it even picked up a couple of support levels down here. So good stuff, great product. There's a link down below. It's the cheapest price you're going to get on the internet, 35% off, because I do so much business with them. And the reason why I'm spending so much time with TrendSpider tonight is that in a few days, the pricing page is going to change on our website. We're terminating our relationship with TradingSim. Not that they're a bad company. They're a good company. It's just that we can't get responses from them anymore. So we have a backup plan, and that's to expand our product offering with TrendSpider. So more to come there. Check back in a few days, and the pricing page will be updated, and you'll see what the offering is. All right, so more to come. Let's begin with LOW, L-O-W, Lowe's Corp. Great company, very extended. We're going to go with the monthly chart first. We are trading just shy of my manually drawn resistance level. And you're going to have real serious resistance at around 145.57. We closed out at 137.43. So there's some more upside here. I wouldn't go booking profits right now. Would I go opening a new position? I don't know. I think it's the time to have done that would have been on this retest here the week of, let's see when that was. It was in June. The week of June the 29th. So this is a weekly chart. A good week last week. We closed just shy of a breakout. So if you're looking for a short-term swing trade, you need to see a close above 138.35. That'll take you above this resistance level. And you need to see that 138.35 on what would appear to be a closing basis. What does that mean? It means that I want to know at 3:55 Eastern Standard Time that we're going to close above 138.35. I don't care if it's above 138.35 at 11 a.m., 12 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m. I don't care. I want to see it at 3:55 Eastern Standard Time, trading above that level so it doesn't sell off and have you buying above support, and then all of a sudden at the end of the day, you're trading down below resistance. I hate that. So that's one way to trade it. Another way to trade it is to buy the retest of support and I'm going to emphasize, or as a reminder to myself, short-term swing trade. Because remember that what we're keeping in the back of our mind is that we have resistance up here, right? So we have limited upside. So we want to enter very carefully, ideally on a pullback of support, then add more on a breakout and an apparent close above 138.35, ride it up to one of these two resistance levels, and then I would look to book profits, make it real, and then wait and see whether or not we consolidate and then break out. Daily chart, looking good here. A bit of resistance on a daily basis above, but again, if you use that rule, look where resistance is, right at around that 138.35 mark. RSI is trending up very nicely. And we have broken out. Very nice. Very, very nice. And if you're looking for a stop, I would use a stop right down below 134 per share, and that'll take you out. So Lowe's is looking good into the new trading week, but we want to enter very, very carefully because we have limited upside. So we want to look to enter on a pullback and a retest of support, add more on a breakout above resistance. Next chart up. Tesla. Monster. Such a monster. All right, so a monthly chart of Tesla. We're trading above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. For those not familiar with what that is, you're not supposed to be there. RSI is at 86.06, very overbought. Weekly chart. The thing's in fuego. I mean, RSI on a weekly basis is at, it's above 80, about 81.38. But we've been a lot higher than that in the past, as high as 94 back in February. So what appears to be unsustainable, it is unsustainable. But that doesn't mean we can't press higher this coming week. So I've learned a long, long time ago that stocks could stay irrational far longer than you could stay solvent. So would I short this stock right now? No way. Despite the fact we're trading above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, because in all probability it's going higher. Why? It's because big money wants it to. I'm small money, and that's what it all comes down to. Big breakout above resistance on Friday. I mean, if they pull it back and do a retest of 1422.50 on Monday, Tuesday, you could bet you're going to have people buying the stock up, and they're probably going to take it up higher. Now, when would I short? It's nearing that point. The stars are in alignment, or they are aligning, meaning that you have RSI, which is at current at around 86 on a daily chart. You have volume, which is diminishing a bit. Let's check it out on a... actually, we had good volume on Friday. What I was looking at here is the volume bars at the right, and just shows you the historical amount of volume at these price points, which is minimal. So, good volume on Friday. The last thing I'm going to do is short a stock that closed at the highs of the day on Friday on big up volume. These two indicators to me, price action and volume action, are by far the best indicator of where we're going next. And this chart here is telling us that in all probability, we are going higher. Now, that being said, where do we expect to see resistance? A good deal higher. We could see 1650 like that on Tesla, if you want to extrapolate out prior highs. And I'm not getting any historical resistance lines here, but this is the line I drew manually. So I think that we could head up to a 1600 handle on Tesla before all is said and done, despite the fact that we have RSI above 80, third standard deviation Bollinger Band weekly, monthly basis is pierced. We could probably head up higher, a parabolic blow off. When we see a bearish key reversal day, that's when I'll get interested on Tesla. And as we see the shares press higher on declining up volume, that makes me interested in speculating short. Not now, though. I think it goes higher. Let's take a look at some comments. GDX bull chain. Your lips, your words to God's ears. We're along with the miners. Okay. Let's move on. Where's my list? Here we go. Netflix. Flew on Friday. Massive breakout here on Netflix. You could see how we closed out the week last week. This is a monthly chart, but we closed out the week last week above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. We pulled back a bit, but a huge breakout. Stokes are on a monthly basis are above 90. So a bit extended, but, you know, life has taught us, you know, over the years, you look at Stokes, and they could stay extended for a long, long time. So you don't go shorting simply based upon a number on your Stokes. Weekly chart. Weekly chart looking very good. Let's clean this up. The shares are probably going up higher. I mean, if you're looking for a pullback for an entry point, 492, 493, for more of extreme of a pullback, 475. Daily chart. See how they gapped it up? They pulled it back. They filled the gap at 511.50, and they rallied it off that level. So that's support as well. RSI is rising. Stokes are high. I think it's going higher. I mean, we closed slightly off the highs of the session. We are very close to that third standard deviation Bollinger Band. I think that this is a market leader, and in all probability, it's going to head up higher. So I remain bullish on Netflix. I'm going to go to SQQQ last, because that's a short ETF. BE. Bloom Energy. I can already tell you I like the daily chart. But let's stay consistent. Monthly chart, very nice. We broke out above one resistance level. Oh, no, we didn't break out above it yet. We're right there. We are right there. But I think it's breaking out. Weekly chart. Yeah, you can see on the weekly chart. We had a lot of resistance right in here, as noted by this volume bar. Higher lows on your RSI. It's a very nice chart. I think it goes up higher. Daily chart. I would entertain buying these shares. Okay, let's do this first. Let's overlay monthly resistance. Why am I not getting a reading here? All right, we know that there's monthly resistance right here. I'm going to keep an alert here. Touch, bounce. And I want to know, I want to go back to that monthly chart. You know what? I'm satisfied with what we have here. We do have a slight breakout here. I want to know when we get a retest of 1359. And then I would look to enter the trade. I might even buy it on a new daily or new weekly high. So I like the setup here. I think it's a very, very good chart. In fact, you take a look at a 4-hour chart. It did exactly what I'm looking for on a daily chart. We had broken out on a 4-hour basis. This is Friday morning. Then the back half of the day, we pulled back, did a retest of the breakout point, rallied back to close above support. Beautiful chart. I think it's going higher. Love it. Great pick. Boeing. Boeing was a surprise stock last week. This is a monthly chart. And you could see that we rallied off the lows of the week last week. However, we didn't recapture the 179.35 mark. This is very, very important resistance to recapture. Now, we booked profits on Boeing at $204 per share. So I would love to get back in here. But I need to see it able to, we'll keep it active for the week. I need to see it able to recapture that current resistance level, 179.35 weekly chart. Again, it bounced, failed to recapture, daily chart. You could see where they close it, just shy of it. I would entertain, given the fact that my theory for the week is that we're going to rally the quote-unquote value stocks, which aren't truly a value. I would entertain buying at the support level. And we'll keep it active for the week. So that's the criteria. Either A, it pulls back and retests 173.61, and or B, closes above 179.35. All right, so ideally buy here, add more here on a close. Must close above 179.35. And that's how we play it. And it must hold, give it a little bit of room. It must hold the lows of last week. And that would be at, what was the low? 171.30. So BA looks interesting. Again, Tesla we did. Let's take a couple of NEO. NEO I took a look at the other day. Yeah. That it did pull back. Yeah, man. It's still very, very extended here on a weekly basis. Monthly, I don't think there's a lot of data. There's not a lot of data. But yeah, very similar to Tesla. Very similar. Relative to, not their business. I don't know anything about their business. I'm talking technicals. But I think there's a very good chance that it goes higher. You had some of the froth come off. You know, if you're going to buy these stocks, I have zero problem with it. As long as you use a trailing stop loss order, let the market take you out as close to the highs of the trading range or wherever the high will be, so that you capture as much of that upside potential as possible. You don't want to use a static stop loss order. I don't. Why did Netflix move up so much? It could be news. I think that it's more technical in nature. SQ, Square. I think they caught a downgrade the other day, right? For whatever that matters nowadays. Monthly chart, very extended. Again, above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. I'm telling you, this may not end next week, this month, next month, but when it ends, it's going to be a bloodbath. Weekly chart. We closed off the highs of the week. I mean, you know, despite what I just said, if we pull back to the support level, I would entertain buying some Square. That would be a good entry point. Where is it? 125.86. Daily chart. So where it bounced on Friday, we're looking for it to bounce there again. And then if we're right, you know, you don't want to go opening up your entire position at 125. You want to nibble, and then once you're validated, I screwed this up. Remove. Once you're validated and you get a breakout, you could add on that breakout. And then I think it goes up higher. I think there's still more momentum to go. That downgrade did nothing but help it. All right. I still have SQQQ. I want to do SQQQ last. NY Jets. Hey, Bob, I just spent $600 for meat at a large restaurant supply store. Chicken, $1.39 a pound for legs. And boneless thighs. Good for you. Smart man. Very smart to beat inflation and potential shortages. Tilapia, salmon, and swordfish. Good man. What else do we have? IBB, biotechs. Monthly chart. We have a new monthly high, but we didn't hold it. We've pulled back. That doesn't mean I don't like it. Weekly chart, bearish reversal bar. If we could close above resistance, I would like to get long of the biotechs. I would probably trade LABU. And if we get a pullback to 133.36, that may be a good support level to buy at. But I think that the biotechs are going up higher. Okay, we couldn't hold the support level. I need to see it close above $1.40 a share, and I would entertain getting long of the biotechs. Note the ascending triangle formation here. And we broke down below support, not just one support, but two. So I would really wait for strength to move in here. And absent that strength, I would avoid. Ride the momentum trade? I agree. CCL? All right, so this is Carnival. So we had a big topping tail in June, new monthly low in July, but we rallied back. So the question then becomes this: are we putting in a higher low? Maybe. Weekly chart. The weekly chart looks more constructive than the monthly chart. And we broke out last week on a weekly basis. You're going to have a lot of resistance up here at 1687, then at 1936. We are seeing higher lows on Stokes, higher lows in RSI. It's very bullish. Friday's price action was a bullish engulfing bar, one of the most bullish formations you could have. Stochastics are hooking up. You have a W formation forming. Here's your higher low on RSI. So I think that Carnival is probably going to move up higher here. And again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, that the NASDAQ 100 will probably underperform this week, not fall. I'm just saying consolidate, move up less than the S&P 500, because that's where the shorts are. They'll squeeze the shorts and they'll get these stocks moving up higher. So the Boeings of the world, the Carnivals of the world should do well. And we may get a pause, an underperformance of the NASDAQ 100 relative to the S&P 500. Hey, Rick, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Amgen? I don't think it's a buy yet. This is a daily chart. Let's stay consistent. I don't want to change things up. We do have a monthly breakout. And this is the value of using multi-period charts. Right, so we validated that the macro view, the macro trend is up. We have a breakout on RSI. Stokes moving up, stalling a little bit on the fast line, but that's okay. It's because we're off the highs of the month. Weekly chart. I see what's going on here. I see what's going on. All right, so I think that early this week, we're probably going to come in a little bit on Amgen. I would look for a retest of 249.04. That is the breakout point. What does that mean? What it means is that we have a validation or an attempted validation by the markets to validate that this breakout above resistance, this breakout here, is going to pull back and retest the, what did I say, 249? It's going to retest 249. If it holds, then you're going to find more buyers willing to step in and buy the shares because confidence is high that what was resistance back here is now support. And that'll take the shares up higher. So that's what I think is going to happen this coming week with Amgen. Daily chart. Where's the support level? Where's my weekly? Why is this not showing on a daily chart? Show on all time frames. Done. Oh, it is here. Okay, I can see it. So we're close. I think we're going to get a pullback tomorrow. We're going to do a retest, and the shares will probably move up higher after the validation. So I think it looks good. Just need patience. That's all. And let it come to you. All right, we're going to take JA. I'm sorry. I have a potential conflict of interest with the ride sharers, so I have to pass on Uber, Lyft, any of those names, anyone in that business. I have to respectfully pass because I don't want any issues. Wimmy hologram cloud. What the frig is this? This is an ADR. What country are they out of? No data on a monthly chart. No data on a weekly chart. I mean, I don't know how this didn't end up on my extreme overbought list. I think it's a short. Unless it's a takeout candidate and somebody's waiting for a bid, I think it's going to pull back. I think the best trade here is to scalp to the short side if you can get to borrow. So I would not get long here. PSV. Hold on a second. Wimmy was over. Where do we close? This thing closed above 20? Holy cow. Hold on, I got to bring this up. Oh my God. This is absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. I mean, if you could get to borrow, I mean, this thing's just, people are begging to get burnt here. That's crazy. All right, what was that other one? I know somebody was asking about the airlines. Let's go. I want to bring up the airline index. All right, so I think that the airlines are moving higher this week. Again, it goes back to the strategy. What is perceived as value, beaten down stocks are probably going to rally this week. Why? They're heavily shorted. So here's the XAL, the airline index. Big day on Friday. I think it's going to move up higher. I like LUV. Beautiful move up higher on Friday. Nearly 5.25%. So I like the airlines short term anyway. Okay. Oh, SQQQ. In short, I tried to fight this market using SQQQ, and it did not end well. All right, we covered that position, and we went long. That was, looking at this chart, that was a while ago now. I think that SQQQ is probably going lower here. So this is a weekly chart. You still have big down volume. And all you need to do, forget about looking at the chart of the SQQQ. All you need to do is take a look at the Qs. Do you want to short this ETF? Not me. We closed at the highs of the week. The only thing I could say here that is kind of a negative for the Qs is that volume was below average. But if you go to volume pre-pandemic, back here, volume was pretty good. So there's going to be a time to short the Qs. As sure as God made green little apples, there's going to be time to short the Qs. But it ain't now. There's going to be a far greater risk-reward entry point to get long of the SQQQ. I will certainly be a part of it because I can't wait for the opportunity to get on the opposite side of this market when it goes, because it is going to go. But it's probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen until after the election. I think after the election, you're going to see sanctions on China like you've never seen before. They're not going to do it beforehand. The one thing that could hurt this market is what I started off with, is the civil unrest and a conflict with China, whether it be in the South China Sea, kinetically, or whether it be economic, prior to the election. And it may just be brought about by the Chinese themselves, because what they want is anybody else than President Trump. It's their wet dream to have a President Biden who's been, and this is not to get political, he's been there for 50 years. Deng Xiaoping was the premier of China when Biden was in the Senate. So who do you want where you're sitting in Beijing? President Trump or Biden? I think it's a pretty simple call. I mean, prior to the Trump administration, they were growing, 9-10% clip annually? Now, they're lucky if they're growing 4%. Let's leave off with the S&P 500. It's holding its gains. It's up slightly. It's off the highs of the session Just barely, though. The NASDAQ 100. At current, it's proven me wrong. It's saying that it is still outperforming the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, but I don't think that's going to last. Gold. Gold is doing okay. Still about flat, though. I'm worried about yields. Going into this week, I'm worried about yields rising again. If yields rise, that won't be good for gold. It won't be good for the gold miners. That being said, if we get a pullback on gold and the gold miners, this is probably going to be the last best chance to get on board. I've been hammering the table on gold, the miners, since Q4 2015. This is once we start breaking out to new all-time highs on gold, it's all said and done. We're going to go a lot higher. Remember that I think it's out of the major industrial powers, the only two currencies that gold is not broken out against is the US dollar and the Swiss franc. And I haven't checked on the Swiss franc of late, but in terms of the euro, all-time highs. Yen, all-time highs. Canadian dollar, Aussie dollar, whatever currency you want to throw at it, otherwise, all-time highs. So it's only a matter of time. And with that, folks, I'm going to say, silver? All right, we'll leave off with silver. Silver's now up 0.75 percentage point. Looking good, loving it. And the same deal with silver. Love silver, longer term, going higher. Any pullbacks an opportunity. Thanks for joining in, folks, and please smash that like button. Thanks for joining in. Everybody have a profitable trading week, and remember, big bank week, okay? And remember TrendSpider, 35% off. Use that discount code below, and be well.